or 9.5 channel. Last night, I watched most, if not all of it. And I'm just going to start out saying, man, and I hope Glenn isn't too offended by this, but I'm going to say it, man. Wasn't a good look for Glendon. Wasn't a good look on the lead attorney.
Wait, how was it not a good look? Okay, so he said it's not a good look for Glendon and not a good look for lead attorney. Y'all all watched the interview. How's lead attorney the bad guy in this? I'm not understanding, but you know what? Come on, let's go. Come on.
Wasn't a good look. Like if I was his public relations agent, or I would have advised him not to even make an appearance on the lead attorney show.
Okay.
I would say he almost made things at least slightly worse.
Yeah.
With his appearance. But before this live stream ends, I'm gonna give a very fair, balanced, and objective viewpoint on the whole situation. There's some areas where I'm going to defend Glendon Cameron. There's some areas where I'm going to defend Glendon Cameron. And then there's other areas, as I just did, where I'm gonna have some criticisms of him. If you've been to my community page, I issued a public statement related to my relationship with Glendon Cameron, because I didn't want things to be misinterpreted. So you can, if you haven't been there already, either during this live stream or after it's over, you can take a look, and I'll give you basically the gist of it. Here's the thing. Here's how it all started. He did this original video. I'm not going to play the whole video because too many people have already. It's been played ad nauseum. But here's the part that relates to me, and that's the only reason I feel compelled to offer my thoughts on it, my viewpoints on it, is because my name was mentioned in the video. My name was mentioned in the video. Here we go.
Shout out to Ron Wills. Shout out to Alan Roger Currie. Those dudes know me very well. So that's all I got for you guys. I will see you in the next one.
Let me play that one more time.
Shout out to Ron Wills. Shout out to Alan Roger Currie. Those dudes know me very well.
Now, I would be pissed if my man's made a video like this and then gave me a shout out at the end, because the first thing you're going to think is like, well, they all are freaks like that. They all get down with young underage. You know what I'm saying? I would be pissed. Like, why would you even say my name after what you just said in this video? So now, yeah, the average person is going to be looking at ARC crazy. Average person is going to be looking at Ron Wills crazy. Right? Why wouldn't you? Because I thought we believe in all, birds of a feather. Yeah. Okay, but I guess birds of a feather, not in this case, right? We pick and choose when birds of a feather flock together, right? Okay.
So that's all I got for you guys. I will see you in the next one.
Now, like Glendon, I first connected with him through Facebook, I want to say somewhere as early as 2008 and no later than 2010. He used to send me a lot of Facebook messages. And when he heard me, as I already mentioned, I'm a consultant for men, women, and couples who are interested in what's known as the BDSM lifestyle. That stands for bondage, discipline and domination, masochism. Wait, B, I skipped the S. B stands for bondage. D stands for both discipline and domination. S stands for sadism and submission. And M stands for masochism. Okay, got that? Most people know about that, but there might have been a couple people in my chat room who are unfamiliar with that. As I mentioned to a lot of people before, I was into BDSM before I even knew what BDSM was. Starting with my college days, I just got a kick out of having women refer to me as sir. Matter of fact, again, I'm in a lot of my live stream, I'll be referencing that poster you see over my right shoulder that, again, might fall down during this live stream because it fell down earlier today because of the change in the temperature. But as you know, as most people know, I'm only talking to my fairly new people not that familiar with me. One of the things that was kind of the impetus, the early inspiration for what later became my whole Mode 1 philosophy and a lot of stuff to do with my books, was I watched these two porn films. One called Talk Dirty to Me, which you see the poster, and the sequel called Talk Dirty to Me Part 2. And in Talk Dirty, I can't believe I'm saying this on a Sunday, which is considered by most people a religious day. But you know me, I'm very frank. I don't mince words. In the sequel, Talk Dirty to Me Part 2, there's a point where Jack, played by the late great John Leslie, I wish I could pull up a picture right now. I don't have a picture ready to pull up of him. But he was one of the top legendary male porn stars ever, particularly when it came to his verbal seduction skills and erotic dirty talk skills. Most people consider him the top male porn actor of all time in regards to those two things, in regards to being a verbal seducer and a master at talking dirty to women. Nobody tops John Leslie.
Okay, I told you guys there's levels to this stuff. Who runs around with this type of, you know, reverence for a deceased porn actor? Hey man, do what you do with thou wilt. But I don't carry reverence for porn guys. Like, no. Oh, that was the moment I wanted to be one of those guys. But that wasn't for me. So, but you know, hey, yeah, hey, Techie, even my old crazy self, I'm with you on that one, man. But let's continue.
And he had one scene in Talk Dirty to Me Part 2 where he says this woman, she's performing oral sex on him. And he pulls his manhood, I'll call it that. He pulls his manhood out of her mouth. I'm trying to be somewhat PG-13, but I'm probably going to fail. He pulls his manhood out of her mouth, then he slaps it on her face, something I've been known to do. A lot of men have been known to do that. He tells the woman, he says, I want you to say, excuse me, sir. May I please suck your dick? See, I went ahead and got X-rated. He says, I want you to say, excuse me, sir.
Okay.
May I please?
Now, I know, rest in peace to Alan Roger Currie, but I did need to watch a film for a woman to do that for me. I don't know, man. I'm no connoisseur of this. I don't know. Maybe I've had a very, very good luck with women just doing stuff for me and to me, whatever. I just never had to. Lord. Jesus, man. Let me.
Suck your dick. And then she says it. And then he puts his dick right back in her mouth. Once I saw that, when I was a student at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, I proceeded to have.
That's what I'm thinking too, Currie.
I proceeded to have dozens of women that I had sexual relations with. I basically repeated that scene in real life. A woman would be performing oral sex on me. I pull.
Y'all ain't watched y'all ain't watched a Wesley Pipes video, and he talked the same stuff to the women. Blah blah. He ruins. I can't watch him. He ruins a lot of scenes. He's one of the worst. And people talk about Wesley Pipes. No, nigga, no. Just shut up and let the woman do work. Like, he's one of the worst. But he says all this stuff that ARC is saying. I guess maybe he took his cues from John Leslie. I don't know. But Wesley Pipes the same way. You know, he would have full blown conversations. You like this, don't you? Tell me you like it. You want it. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, come on.
Slap it on their face, and then I would say, excuse me, sir. Now please suck your dick. And they would say it. That was my first, you could say, entryway into what I later realized was the BDSM world, even though it's just verbal. I mentioned this before a number of times. I'm in a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, the Noops, and we had a reunion in 2016, and some of my younger frat brothers brought that up. They said, Alan, man, they used to call me AC. So just like a lot of people on YouTube call me ARC. I didn't use my middle name back then. They would call me AC. They said, AC, know one thing we remember about you? I said, what? They said, man, when you was in college, man, you had a lot of women, man, calling you sir. They wouldn't call you Alan or AC. They would say, yes, sir. No, sir. Please, sir. And they used to trip us out, man. And I said, yeah. They said, so you was just like a dom on campus. I said, yeah, you can say that. So I didn't find out really what BDSM was until I watched this movie called 9.5 Weeks that came out in 1987 with Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger. And a lot of the movie people who were reviewing the movie were saying, this movie is arguably the first movie to introduce BDSM to the mainstream. And then I did my research on what BDSM was, and I was like, wow. So that's what I've been doing for the last at least 2 or 3 years, is engaging in BDSM. Now going back to Glendon. I was telling you, he used to write me, because he used to follow my Blog Talk Radio show. And a lot of times he would write me to let me know that he was heavily involved in the BDSM lifestyle. So that was our number one, similarity to each other.
Okay, this reminds me of Manhunter, right? Wild Bill's reaching out to Hannibal. Like, hey, look, I too am a serial killer, and I want to get your attention because I think I'm just as good as you, or, I'm a burgeoning, I have potential. Please recognize me, right? Because that's how they caught Buffalo Bill, because he was reaching out to, Hannibal. Hannibal's like, yeah, this young student thought he was something special. I didn't pay him no mind. Blah 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 blah. Y'all watch the old Manhunter with Homeboy, 1985, 1984, classic Michael Mann movie, classic. Okay, come on.
But here's what I found, at least on a real minor level, problematic when he shouted out my name. And of course, I've been getting a lot of feedback over the last 2 or 3 days about him shouting out my name, as well as he shouted out my fellow dating advisor, Ron Wills. Let me play it one more time.
Shout out to Rom Wills. Shout out to Alan Roger Currie. Those dudes know me very well. So that's all I got for you guys. I will see you in the next one.
Okay. Here's a very minor problem. Not a big deal, but a minor problem with the way he said that. He said, shout out to Ron Wills and Alan Roger Currie. They know me very well. Key phrase is, he said, they know me very well. That's at least a wee bit misleading.
Okay.
See, when I say that I know somebody very well, I would only say that about somebody that I've hung out with in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, I heard that.
Oh, I heard a poster. I seen the poster move.
It's about to fall down. So just be prepared for it. That poster, my Talk Dirty to Me poster over my right shoulder, I heard that sound like this.
Yeah, that's the universe telling you your time is up with this type of talk. It wasn't gonna last long. I mean, if y'all really pay attention to signs and symbols, the fact that his one of his favorite posters keeps falling down during a broadcast, that tells you it was a wrap. But I don't want to poo-poo, and I don't want to do all that extra stuff. But come on,
where the tape is coming, it's about to fall down. I might have to take a break, put on my logo or something, and yeah, it's about to fall down, and that's gonna severely piss me off. Here's what's misleading. See, I only consider someone like a close friend of mine if I've broken bread with them in real life. Anybody that I've only interacted with exclusively through the internet and or over the phone, I might in a general way call them a friend, but I would never refer to them as a close friend. There are a few people who I've only interacted with through the internet that I at times have categorized as a friend or at least a friendly acquaintance. But as far as a category like close friend, if I've never met you in real life, we've never been face to face with each other, the 99.9% chance I'm gonna never refer to you or imply that we are close friends, because I haven't seen you interact in real life. Speaking of that, on a quick lighthearted side note, I've told this story at least once, if not twice before. I had a one-on-one face-to-face coaching client of mine. I'm tempted to say his first name because y'all wouldn't know who I'm talking about. I won't. But let's just leave him nameless. But we had a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session in Florida when I was about to go on a cruise in 2018.
Okay, I don't care about the story.
And afterwards, he gave me what I edit this portion out and put the shit back up. That's the challenges of doing a live stream. I can't, anyway.
So you see the poster fell.
He says, Alan, when I watch you on YouTube, you tend to be very, very funny, which is not necessarily a criticism. I have a background in stand-up comedy. He said, you do a lot of ranting. He said, but
I'm gonna skip all this. I just want to get to the Glendon part.
Across, he said, man, you got one of the most powerful stares, like your level of direct, stay connected with your eyes. But 95 to 99% of the time I'm talking to people, man, I look them directly in their eyes. Directly in their eyes. Anyway, that was a minor digression. But my point was, going back to Glendon, he made that comment about Ron Wills and Alan Roger Currie know me very well. I know him through the internet. And the only real thing I know about Glendon is the fact that he's a millionaire, and he, in respect to his personal life, that he's into the BDSM lifestyle. Beyond those two things, I actually don't really know much about Glendon. And I was joking with my wife. I said, it's dangerous for somebody to just shout people out like that if they've said controversial shit. Because I'm not going to, well, at least not yet. I probably will go down a few things he said in the video. But he said a lot of controversial stuff that other people would at least interpret as controversial. And I was teasing my wife. I said, see, I kind of have a problem with that because it's like, let's say somebody was on a video and they say, hey, man, you know what I like to do in my spare time? I like to fuck donkeys. I like to fuck donkeys.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, man. I got a fat. Shout out to Alan Roger Currie. That's my man. Shout out to him. All right, peace. I mean, what are people going to think when they hear that? They're going to say, oh, damn. Alan co-signs with his fetish of fucking animals? I mean, you know what I like to do in my spare time, man? Man, I like to take snakes and wrap them around my dick.
Okay.
You know how I get down. You know me very well. No, nigga. Don't be shouting me out after you. I don't want anybody shouting me out after they said some crazy shit. Hey, man, you know what? I hate some of our past presidents so bad that I wanted to murder them. I wanted to assassinate some of our former U.S. presidents, man. Like Joe Biden. I can't stand his ass. No, shut the fuck up. Don't be shouting out my name because you're implying that I'm co-signing with everything you talked about in that particular video. Especially if you said something that's questionable or controversial. You can't be shouting my name out. If so I didn't have.
You know what? That's a good point. A lot of these guys do that. Rom is the same way. They come off as sex gods to guys that don't get access to a lot of women. They come off as like scholars and PhDs when it comes to sex. So yeah, to the average regular guy that has problems interacting with women, you would come off as a literal god, and they will take everything you say to heart, and they will pay you all types of money for coaching and courses and how to talk to women. So yeah, to the average non-select guy, yeah, they would come off as sex gods. But to the bunch of us that be like that have already been down this, it's like, this ain't shit. But okay.
I have a major problem with the shout out, but at least a real minor problem with, he said a lot of controversial stuff that I'm gonna get into. And then he said, shout out to Alan Roger Currie and Ron Wills. They know me very well. That's the key phrase I had some degree of problems with. They know me very well. That's what provoked me to issue a public statement on my community page. I do know Glendon. I'm very familiar with him. And through the internet, I've been familiar with him since as long as 2008, at minimum 2010. We were Facebook friends.
So you never met the guy in person?
Again, the main thing I knew about him was mainly two things: was that he was a millionaire, and that he was into the BDSM lifestyle, which is something I talk about quite a bit. But as far as any intimate details of his personal life, love life, sex life, man, I don't know nothing about, other than what he said on video. I don't know nothing about Glendon's life. Like a lot of stuff he described in his controversial video, I didn't know none of that shit. I didn't know none of that shit ahead of time. Yeah, man, when I'm near other people's mailboxes, man, I like to, believe it or not, I like to just take their mail out of their mailbox and read it and then put it back in their box. I know that's technically against federal laws. That's a federal crime, and I could end up in prison. But I like doing that shit, man. Hey, shout out to my man, Adam Roger Currie, man. That's my man. You know how I get down. He rock with me. You know how I get down. All right, y'all. Peace. Oh, man. I mean, so I'll get into what I defend about Glendon and what some of my criticism. I already issued at least one criticism. Well, technically now I guess two. One criticism was his appearance on the lead attorney, man. His appearance on the lead attorney, to me, this is just my own opinion, he would have been better off not being on the lead attorney at all than to make the appearance that I saw. It did not strengthen his image and reputation being on the lead attorney. I would say if only to a minor degree, it actually worsened it.
Minor.
So yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling that appearance he had on the lead attorney. But I'm gonna pause on this subject. I'm gonna come back to this subject, and I'm gonna get into my secondary subject, which shouldn't last long. But again, I started doing YouTube live streams. Wait, I can't tell. I'm using a system called Restream. Now y'all saw the disaster.
Okay, let's skip ahead. Let's skip ahead because I want him to get back to the Glendon thing.
Cousin Tito. The four. Okay, this is kind of gonna be half lighthearted, half serious, but
Cousin Tito, another one of these former stripper ass guys. A lot of
viewers I had was about 200 guys were congratulating me. In the section after the live stream, he gave me major props, and I appreciate that. So shout out to Coach EO. Pointers. Let me send you a few pointers, tips to help you out, like trying to get these super chats on the screen. Man. People giving you both a compliment, disagree, with a lot of money off of you. And hey, Bernard Riley, super chat, $50.
So where'd that guy go?
That's it. He just gave me some props. See, I'm talking about people who, and you really didn't jump on anybody else's live streams either. And I think he brought up Ron Wills. He said, like, Ron Wills, you don't see Ron Wills just randomly getting on people's live streams. But he said, with you, here's what you do, man, that I don't think you consciously realize is a mistake. You jump on other people's live streams, and they, in one way or another, tend to get you to start dropping. People are only going to gravitate to you and try to get chummy with you for each of their podcasts and live streams.
I'm trying to get back to the Glendon part, y'all.
Their credibility. 20 minutes or less. That's when people like to listen to pre-recorded videos. But he said, Alan, man, the lengthier you are, in one way or another, you taking money out of that. Mr. Popular himself, Kevin Samuels, collaborate with more people. Everybody could be. I watched his explanation of his controversial video, and then I watched.
Okay, let's get back. Let's go. Okay.
Because that's what that guy was basically saying. He's like, man, yeah, people ain't everybody happy about you being on live stream. Now, going back to Glendon Cameron, I watched his controversial video. I watched his explanation of his controversial video, and then I watched a third video he did yesterday before he went on. Wait, did I miss a super chat? Hey, moderators, if anybody in here saying something crazy or that's insulting to me, make sure get them out of here. I talked about it in my very last live. I'm seeing somebody saying, I'm not getting my eye. Okay, Archer, I see you're in my chat room. I didn't see what comment you made, but somebody had a negative reaction to something Archer said. So if I'll let you moderate, that's why I have moderators, because I don't have time to be handling drama in my chat room. That's what anybody, of course, who conducts a live stream, that's their job. So because one thing I said, man, I don't allow haterade in my chat room. See, that's another thing, man. When I go on other people's channel, people were generally free to hate on me.
Just get to
but
it,
in my live
please.
stream, I don't play the haterade shit. Anyway, now going back to Glendon Cameron. There's at least 3 videos of his that I watched. His original video, that's the most controversial. His explanation of that video, and then he did one right before he went on the lead attorney. And then you could say the fourth was "What's Up, Dada Saints?" Was his interview with the lead attorney. Funny note on the lead attorney, man. I've seen this happen before with him. See, because I've worked as an informal filmmaker before, worked in the entertainment industry. One of the most underrated contributors to TV shows, movies, and other similar media products is lighting. Lighting. In simple terms, bad lighting could fuck up a whole TV show, a whole movie, and anything similar. Music video. If you get one of the most crucial members of your film crew, if you're a filmmaker of some sort, has to be your lighting crew. Anyway, without getting lengthy on that, what I was going to say was funny about at the beginning of the lead attorney's live stream he did yesterday, where he ended up interviewing this brother named Anton Daniels, who I'm not all that familiar with. I'm loosely familiar with him. And of course, Glendon Cameron. The way the light was shining on his nose, it made it look like he had a big booger in his nose. Everybody in the chat room was like, "Hey, TLA, you got a booger, man. Take that booger out. Go wipe your nose, man. Pause. Put the avatar up and clean your nose." And he kept having to say, "That's not a booger. That's the light shining on my nostril. That's the way the light is shining on my nostril. That's not a booger." But even after he said it, he was like, "Yeah, okay, TLA. Yeah, man. Why don't you clean your nose, man? We love you, man, but clean your nose." That shit was just funny. But here's my general thoughts. And some of it, I've already issued a public statement on my community page. I'll kind of give you the gist. Well, I can go ahead and read it. I can go ahead and read it. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to have to put on my old man glasses, read glasses again. I'm going to read what I put on my community page. Some of y'all have already seen it. This was my first, after I heard he shouted out my name. "I have to offer a public statement regarding a video that was recorded and uploaded by the black male YouTube content creator, Glendon Cameron, aka the Corporate Citizen. That's one of his channels. And the channel that he actually uploaded video is called the Lost Kings channel. Number one, Glendon and I have never met face-to-face / in person. And I only state that because a number of YouTubers have asked me today, are you and Glendon close friends? I only consider someone to be a close friend of mine if I have met them and interacted with them at least once in a face-to-face, in-person manner. Number two, Glendon and I do share at least one thing in common regarding our personal lives and sex lives. We are both into what is known as the BDSM lifestyle, which I already talked about and discussed, which centers on erotic domination and erotic submission, among other things. As most of my followers and supporters know, besides being a professional dating coach for single heterosexual men, I am also a BDSM lifestyle and polyamory lifestyle consultant for men, women, and married and unmarried couples. Number three, it appears that in the video, Glendon acknowledged that he doesn't mind engaging in sexual relations with girls as young as 16, 17, 18, or 19. And then in parentheses, I have, which is legal in the state of Georgia. Let me pause on that. That's legal. A lot of people have been suggesting that that's illegal. No, it's not. And I shared a link of each state in the United States, what their legal age of consent is. It ranges from state to state. California is 18.
Once again, here's the problem, y'all. Most of y'all would still consider it immoral. You cannot confuse morality with legality. What is legal is always not moral, and what is moral is not always legal. Most people are not aware that in the state of Georgia, the age of consent is 16. And if most people understood that and knew that, they would still say that's disgusting. No matter what the law says, that's still disgusting to a lot of people. I see why these white boys come over here with the low IQ rhetoric in these debates. I see why Pearl does what she does to black folk. I see now why. I understand why. So ARC, God bless the dead, but you couldn't be this dumb. You know good and goddamn well why people had a problem with what he said, no matter if it's legal or not. At one point, Georgia was one of the last few states to raise it from 14 to 16. Georgia and Hawaii, the last two states in the union to raise their age of consent laws from 14 to 16. Come on.
That's typically has been for years the standard is 18. But southern states, I know for a fact, have always been a little different. There were some southern states way back when that allowed girls to have sex with older men as young as 14 years old, as long as it was with parental permission. If their parent, one or both of their parents, gave them consent, or, co-signed with it, they could hook up with an older guy as young as 14. So that's one thing that a lot of people need to be clear on. See, a lot of people, in real simple terms, man, to do with the Glendon Cameron issue, a lot of people have been confusing and conflating legal issues, legalities, with moral issues.
No shit.
Legal issues, legalities, with moral issues. Those are not the same thing.
They're not?
And most of you intelligent, mature, objective-minded people should know that already. Not the same thing. And I'm going to get into that. However, speaking on behalf of myself, I never ever encouraged men who are 21 years of age or older, and most definitely men who are 25 years of age or older, to seek out girls who are 17 years of age or younger to become potential sexual companions for them. So Glendon and I very much share a difference of opinion in regard to the entire age of consent issue. At this point, this is all I'm going to express, and then I included a link so people can see for themselves what the age of consent. So, here's my thing, man. Let's start with the legality issue. I know that there are a lot of men and women who do not like the idea of a man who is 21 years of age or older messing around with a girl who's 17 years of age or younger. I understand that from a moral perspective and just what I would call a social conventions perspective. I understand that. But I want to start off strictly talking about legalities. If Glendon had sex with a girl as young as 16 years old in the state of Georgia, he did not commit statutory rape. I don't care how many of you frown on what he did, criticize him for what he did, insult him for what he did. He did not commit a crime in the state of Georgia if he had sex with a girl that was 16 years of age or older, because 16 years of age is the age of consent in Georgia. So when people start asking me about my thoughts on Glendon, the first thing I asked people was, did Glendon Cameron get on video and admit to participating in activities that would legitimately amount to a confession of statutory rape? And people started deflecting and bringing in others, and I was like, no. The first thing I want to know is, can you prove objectively that this brother admitted to engaging in activities with?
I would never go this hard defending somebody that made a video skirting the legal lines. I would never go this hard defending anybody. Like, you understand why they're upset, right? No one cares if it's legal. And I guess the only actionable course would be is if this girl comes forward years later and says he took it from me. That's the only way he can get jammed up, if they say, yeah, it was against my will. That's the only real legal recourse one could have for hoping that Glendon gets locked up. If the girl says years later, yeah, this fat black guy was on top of me, I didn't want it, and he kept telling me I liked it and I didn't like it, that's the only way he would get jammed up. But I would never go this hard defending a guy that made content this sketchy when it comes to age of consent. I would never go this hard defending anybody. Never. So now I'm looking at you like, what? Why do you care what people think about Glendon Cameron legally or immorally? Why do you care? So why are you going to bat for this guy? Now I'm looking at ARC. God rest the dead, but nah, nigga, not what? Okay. Yes, exactly. What was the reason for him coming to his defense for a guy you said you only knew off the internet? So you never met this man once in 10 years on the internet. I would never ride this hard for somebody I never met on the internet. Like this? Hell no.
With a girl that would legitimately amount to a confession of statutory rape. Because number one, if he was to do that, that would be like the dumbest thing in history for any man to do. Dumbest thing in history for any man to do. So if Glendon had sex with a girl, again, not only Glendon, any man who lives in the state of Georgia,
well, I hate to say this, he did not violate federal law. Federal law, age of consent, federal laws only apply to out-of-state sex and unrestricted sex. There's no federal mandatory guidelines for age of consent. It only applies to out of state, cross state lines, and or unrestricted. That's it. That's it. So there's no federal age of consent mandatory guideline number. So
have sex. I don't care if the guy is 30 years old, 35, 40, 45, 50. Now, I know a lot of you all frowning because your moralities are coming into play. Your moral standards are coming into play. And that's a different issue. Everybody has different moral standards. That's why you have a lot of people in society that are simply known as being judgmental. People feel like if you don't have the same moral standards as I do, if you don't conduct your life using the same moral standards and ethical standards that I do, then you're not a good person, and I am. You're not a good person, and I am. But as my moderator, Paul, just said in the chat room, moral standards are subjective. That's why you got so many different denominations of Christianity. That's why you got just various, a wide variety.
Just stick to the topic of teenagers. Instead of
just one universal religion, because each religion has their own set of moral values and ethics.
Nah, we're conflating
and
here.
even within Christianity, why you have a lot of denominations, because they have their own unique
conflating
morals, values, and ethics. That's the problem with morals, values, and ethics. Is always subjective.
No, sir. Most people would agree. Most people agree, regardless of religious affiliations, that they don't want to hear about 30-plus-year-old men and 16-year-old, 17-year-old girls. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Okay. No. Most people don't want to hear that. Most people would not agree with that. At least openly, would not openly agree. But you have weirdos in the background, but like, yeah, I would like that. Yeah, sure you do. But openly, agreement? No.
You know, like I heard people say that Glendon Cameron should be in prison right now. Glendon Cameron should be buried underneath the prison right now. Glendon Cameron is a confessed pedophile. That is not true. Anybody saying that is stupid. They're unintelligent. Tell them I said it. As most people should know by now, a pedophile is when you have interest in having sex with boys or girls that have not yet reached puberty. Now
let's see if Alan Roger Currie identifies Glendon as at his proper determination. He's an ephebophile, just like Coach Greg Adams is an ephebophile, right? The age is from 15 to 19. That's an ephebophile. Pedophile is under age of 10. 11 to 14 is hebophile, and ages 15 to 19 a phebophile. Now let's see if Alan Roger Currie does the right thing and properly labels what Glendon will fall under based off that video. And I guarantee he doesn't. But let's take a listen.
That is a pedophile. If I had to give a general age, I would say 11 years of age or younger. If you're interested in having sex with somebody that's roughly 11 years of age or younger, at most 12 years of age or younger, that would mean you're a pedophile. If the boy or girl is roughly 13 years of age or older, then and you have an interest in having sex with them, that's not a pedophile. That's just you being guilty. If they're not of legal age of consent, you would simply be guilty of statutory rape. But that's not pedophilia. That's not officially pedophilia.
No, sir. There's hebophiles and ephebophiles. Now, why didn't Roger go ahead and do the knowledge on that and give y'all the proper determination? So, according to Roger, anything under 11 is bad. Anything above 13 is just statutory. Okay. And then these are your kings. Gotcha. And now I'm starting to not feel bad why this nigga's dead to begin with. But y'all got it.
But people were saying Glendon Cameron should be in prison. For what? What crime? Here's what I want to know. What crime did he commit and confess to? What crime did he commit and confess to? Now, I'm not an attorney like the lead attorney is, so I don't know all the laws of the land. I'll say this. Until someone has been charged with a crime, I'm rarely, if ever, going to suggest that they should be locked up in prison. Until it's been objectively proven that that person has been charged with a crime and broke the law. Again, Glendon admitted to having sex with one girl, I think 16, and one girl 17. Now, in a later video, he said that was embellished, that wasn't actually factual. He said he was doing a social experiment designed to enhance the popularity of his channel. Now, here's where I got to throw in another criticism. That's not the way you do that. And I don't believe in that. I mean, if he chooses to do that, that's his choice. Say one thing I'll say about me, man. I've never wanted to talk about something on a video podcast solely and specifically just for sensationalism, just to get more views. I talk about stuff that's either directly or indirectly related to my books, or if it's not directly, indirectly related to my books.
Hey, remember quick flash quiz or quick remember that live stream we were on years ago? It was me and some African guy, and it was somebody else, and ARC. And remember when that goofy bitch, whatever her name was, called us Nambla? Remember that? And I was the only one that got upset and checked her. And now your sex god, Alan Roger Currie, was like, I don't know what a Nambla is. How the fuck do you not know, sir? Your business is sex. How do you not know what these other underground communities are into? How did you not know what Nambla was back then? Yeah, he didn't know what Nambla was. So why would I expect him to know what a hebephile and a ephebophile is outside of what a pedo is? But these are your guys. These are people you worship. These are guys you sit on bended knee listening to, and they're no longer here for a reason. But come on, let's continue.
It's because, like in this case, my name was brought into something. My name was mentioned. And I feel compelled to clarify things and defend my name. See, if Glendon had never mentioned my name in the video, I wouldn't even be talking to you guys right now. I wouldn't be talking about this. I would never talk about this just for views. The only reason I'm talking about this is because my name was thrown out there. He gave me a shout out in that controversial video. And it's caused people to ask me questions like, hey man, I didn't know you and Glendon was like this. I didn't know y'all was tight. You knew he was having sex with 16-year-olds. You knew that? No, I did not. But again, my first question to anybody who brings it up to me is, did he confess? Did he commit a crime? And after committing a crime, did he confess to committing a crime? Here's what I find interesting. When that R. Kelly verdict came out just a few weeks ago, there was a lot of brothers here on YouTube defending R. Kelly. Defending R. Kelly, who received a jury verdict of guilty, meaning that the jury felt like he had committed a crime. How can you defend R. Kelly and criticize and insult Glendon Cameron? Explain that to me like I'm a fifth grader. Explain that to me like I'm a fifth grader. How can any black man, or black woman for that matter, defend R. Kelly and criticize and insult and pass judgment on Glendon Cameron? That's some inconsistent bullshit. That's some inconsistent, contradictory, hypocritical bullshit.
Well, I remember the backlash because you got to remember there's two trials we're talking about when we talk about R. Kelly. Talk about the R. Kelly first trial with the underage girl, where basically the entire family was like, no, let it go. Right? Sparkle, that was Sparkle's niece. Sparkle gave some half-assed testimony. They had a chance to cook R. Kelly on the underage stuff that first trial. The second trial was bogus because all the women were of age. That was the backlash. Okay, these are grown 20-plus-year-old women that cross state lines to find R. Kelly, to be with R. Kelly. That's a whole different. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, we pretty much agree that second trial was bogus as hell because all the women were over the age of 20 plus, and it was just. And once again, the same questions people are asking for Diddy. Well, how does one person go down for a RICO charge? So you got a RICO charge, and only one person goes to prison. So that was a bogus trial to begin with. The second one, but they could have fried him on the first one. But the women in that trial said, nah, he didn't do anything. It ain't that bad. So it was the women on the first trial that got him off. Right? Okay, but come on.
Again, as far as I know, Glendon Cameron to date has not been charged with a crime.
I don't understand why he's going this hard.
He has not confessed to committing a crime.
For a guy he's known on the internet.
Did, the authorities would be at his house right now putting handcuffs on his ass. If he was on video, the video as far as I know is still up. If he's legitimately on a video acknowledging that he committed a crime and confessing guilt to that crime, either local authorities would be over his house right now arresting his ass, and even more so the FBI. The Atlanta, Georgia branch of the FBI, trust me on this. They would be at his crib putting handcuffs on his ass. Now, as far as I know, that hasn't happened. So from a purely legal issue, what the fuck are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? y'all
this.
talking about?
I never knew he said all this, y'all. Wow.
Now, let's switch to righteous indignation. Righteous indignation, which is simply righteous indignation is representative of, again, I already alluded to it, is when you've observed someone exhibiting behavior that does not meet your level of morals, values, and ethics. And by virtue of that, you tend to criticize that person, insult that person, and pass judgment on that person, even though their behavior is not illegal. Let's use Glendon Cameron. If you are criticizing Glendon Cameron and calling him names like pervert for being in his, I think he said this happened 20 years ago. That would put him in his 30s. So if you think it's perverted for, say, a 35-year-old man to have sex with a 17-year-old girl in Georgia.
No, sir. 16. Don't let ARC get away with this. He said one was 16, the other was 17. Nonetheless, are you guys okay with a 30-plus-year-old man having sex with a 16 or 17-year-old woman in a state where its legal consent is 16? Are most people okay with this? I highly doubt it. Yeah, we all grew up watching, the girls in high school getting to the binges of all the old drug dealers. We saw all that. Nonetheless, does the general public like that? Is the general public okay with 30-plus-year-old men with 16-year-old girl? No. Why are we? This is y'all king, man. This is y'all king.
That would be you passing judgment on that man. Because in Georgia, that's legal. So you couldn't legitimately be accusing him of a crime. What you're doing is saying, I don't agree with the morals, values, and ethics of a 35-year-old man. Once
again, Georgia is one of the last states in the union to raise their age of consent laws from 14 to 16. And it took place in 1995. Okay? 1995, y'all. I graduated high school in 93. So when I was in high school, it was okay for grown men to lay with 14-year-old girls in the state of Georgia until they raised the consent law. This is your king. I don't feel bad he's dead. I don't.
Choosing to have sex with a 17-year-old girl. And you have a right to have, I'll defend you, you have a right to have your own moral values and ethical standards. I mean, I'm going to bring myself into this. And y'all know where I'm going. Y'all know where I'm going as it specifically relates to me. What's an area where I tend to pass judgment on men, even though they're technically not doing anything illegal? What's an area where I, Alan Roger Currie, by my own admission, tend to pass judgment on guys, some aspects of guys' behavior with women, even though it's technically not illegal? If you don't know, everybody should know if they're a fairly long-term follow mine. If you're a man who lies to women, misleads women, emotionally manipulates women in order to get them in bed, in my mind, by my moral standards, you're a scum of the fucking earth. Quote me on it, tell everybody you know I said it. You're a scum of the earth. Scum of the earth, in my mind. Now, objectively speaking, other people might find that acceptable. So a lot of guys say that's more than acceptable. But for me, Alan Roger Currie, and again, this would be representing me passing moral judgment on guys. If you, the way you got a woman in bed is by telling her you wanted to be her next long-term boyfriend or future husband, but then after you fuck that woman 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, you just go ghost on her.
We're not here for that. We are here for you defending Glendon Cameron.
You're scum of earth. Now, a lot of people don't agree with that attitude of mine, and that's their choice. When it comes again to morals, values, and ethics, it's always subjective. It's always subjective. Legalities, for the most part, are always objective. There might be a few exceptions. But when it comes to legalities are objective. You either are breaking the law or you're not breaking the law. If you're not breaking the law, shut the fuck up. If somebody's not breaking the law, you got to shut the fuck up, objectively. When it comes to legalities, either the person broke the law or they did not. When it comes to morals, values, and ethics, again, that's always going to range from person to person to person, group of people. There's a lot of things that people who are Muslim don't agree with among people who are Christian and vice versa. Christians and Muslims don't have the same exact moral standards, values, ethical standards. They don't. Again, introducing myself into the whole morality issue, there's a lot of behavior that I spell out in my books and in my videos that men have, like I get another one next to lying and emotional manipulation, drugs and alcohol. I'm not a fan of that shit at all, man. If the way you score pussy from women is by getting her high with like cocaine or heroin or crystal meth, and in some cases marijuana, although I'm not too much on marijuana.
All right. Yeah, this is deflection.
Oh, I got some dog face. You know, somebody, where's my dog face at? On how they believe other people should lead their life and even more specifically conduct their sex life. If you're a person, man or woman, that believes everybody should only conduct themselves in a socially acceptable, conventional manner when it comes to their love life and sex life. That means, here's Little Rock. Didn't I tell you, Little Rock? Yo. Hey, Little Rock, who you got for the NBA championship? Yo. Who you think gonna win the Super Bowl? Yo. How's your week been going? Yo. What's the last good book you read? Yo. That Rock kills me, man. He always comes to my conversation and says, yo. That means, see, like, there's a thing I think most of you are aware of, and I super chatted this towards the tail end of the lead attorney's live stream. There's something known as the kink, fetish, BDSM, and polyamory community. And people who are involved in that community tend to separate themselves from people who just believe in standard, socially acceptable, conventional sex. People in the, for short, the kink and fetish community, they consider people who only believe in socially acceptable sexual conventions as vanilla people. They refer to those as vanilla people. But if you've been a member, if you currently are a member, or in the past you've been a member of the kink, fetish, BDSM, and polyamory community, that's the whole reason why they exist. They don't believe in socially acceptable conventional sex. That could be as it relates to age of their partners. Now,
and guess what? They're not online telling their business. That's why it's an underground community for a reason. But come on.
Defending that community, nobody who's involved, probably the number one website that's represented that community is a website known as FetLife, F-E-T, which is short for fetish, life.com. F-E-T, life.com. FetLife.com. That is the premier website that represents people who are involved in what is known as the kink community, fetish community, BDSM community, and polyamory community. It's FetLife. You'll see a bunch of groups on there. There's a lot of groups by city, by state, and by country. By city, by state, by region, by country. I used to be an active member on FetLife. Since I got married, no longer. But I used to be an active member on FetLife. Because now I want to defend them in saying that people who are involved in that community, I don't know of anybody who encourages anybody to engage in statutory rape or engage in sex with partners that are not of legal age of consent. I don't know of anybody who does. And if they did, I doubt if anybody would, because they would get arrested, man. FBI, agencies like the FBI, they monitor sites like that, man. They monitor sites like that, looking for pedophiles and that type of thing. Yeah, y'all remember that guy Jared from them Subway commercials got busted? I remember that. They got Jared from the Subway commercials. Dude was a pedophile, man. He was a legitimate pedophile, man. He was into like child pornography, all that goofy stuff. And he got busted, and rightfully so. But see, here's the problem, man. When you get into moral and ethical arguments, which I've gotten into a number of them, because again, I have a lot of strong feelings about how men go about getting women in bed. See, once you get into the subjectives of the highly subjective nature of imposing your moral values and ethics on someone else, people are going to be able to bring up different things.
Once again, we're all brought here together today because most people had an issue with a 30-plus-year-old man openly bragging about having sex with a 16-year-old girl. That's why we're here. And so to recap, TLA and Anton took down their videos because Glendon was threatening to sue. Probably the best thing to do, take away the power of the troll. Don't feed the trolls. Now Glendon's going to have to find someone else to be mad about because the videos are still up here on the internet and they're not going anywhere. And I'm sure your daughter at some point will come across what you said in that car, and you're going to have to answer for that. But you can't sue everybody into oblivion to make that what you said go away, right? The interview that he did with a lead attorney, it's in the internet. People have the clips. People have that interview. It's not going anywhere. You can't sue everybody into oblivion, all right? And ARC basically did his damnedest to defend. He did more defending than critiquing of Glendon Cameron, which I thought was weird. Once again, I guess to be fair, birds of a feather only flock together if it's your favorite content creator. If not, then it's like, oh, not ARC. Well, shit, he spent damn near an hour defending this motherfucker, his right to, that he legally, what he did was legal. Okay, you got it. You got it. You got it.
Like, for example, if you subscribe to the Christian Bible,
I'm done. Is there anything else? Is there anything else?
Not be engaging in sex out of.
Hold up. Is there anything? Do I need to? Is there anything else? Do we need to listen to anything more? Are we good? I can't with this.